What's up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Heavy Barbecue. What we're going to be doing today, I smoked a couple of chickens, so we're going to be making some chicken pot pie. And basically our ingredients are going to be chicken that I cut up, onions and a little bit of celery, mixed vegetables. This was a homemade chicken stock that I made from the carcasses from the chicken, as well as the when I cut up the onions, I threw the scraps in there, and the same thing with the celery. So that's a homemade chicken stock and some frozen mixed vegetables. First thing we're going to do is get these onions and celery and get that onion and celery in there. And that's about 1.5 onions and 3.5 celery stalks. So I got that in there. Got a little flour. It's about a cup of flour. And I am going to make a little bit of a larger batch, so I'm going to go with 1.5 cups of flour. Seems how much chicken I got here, but I may not use all that. So anyway, I'm going to cook this down till it gets kind of a golden brown, and we're going to pick up the video at that point. So we'll see you back then. A couple things I forgot to mention we're going to be working with are these store brand biscuits, or like the Pillsbury, biscuits. So I'll be using those for the crust, and I'm not just going to set them down there. I'm going to thin them out. We're going to do that, and got some whole milk. Forgot about that. So anyway, we got this these onions and celery. This stuff is kind of cooked down, and one of the reasons that you want to cook down this flour a little bit is that flour has gluten in it. And gluten is what, if you ever had somebody's gravy and it's all lumpy, that's the reason why, because the gluten hasn't been cooked out of the flour, it hasn't been cooked out of the flour. So anyway, we got that. I'm going to kind of add some of this chicken stock. I'm just going to eyeball this for a minute. And throw in some of this milk. Now the amount of milk in chicken stock that you use is going to be kind of dependent on how much you're making. So it's easier to go ahead and eyeball that than it is to follow a certain recipe on it. Because I've followed recipes before and this came out either too runny or too thick. So I'm just going to eyeball it as we go along. That should be enough of that. It will get thick later. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this chicken now. I'm not going to be using all this. I did kind of rough chop it. I do want there to be a little bite in this chicken. I don't want it to be all small. So I'm going to start with that amount. I'll wash my hands right quick. And then I'm going to add some of these frozen vegetables. They don't need to be thawed. Like I said, they're just mixed vegetables. And this is already kind of getting thick. Now if it starts getting too thick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, at this point it looks creamy enough, I'm going to add some more chicken stock, which it looks like I'm going to be doing, but it can use more vegetables. So bam, there's that. Now this here looks like it's going to be good enough for about, I'm going to imagine this might be good enough for 12 servings. So I'm going to let that cook down, see how thick it gets, and then we're going to get back to exactly how many of these pot pies we're going to make. I may make one and freeze the rest, or I may make two and cook one and then decide what I'm going to do with that later, whether I freeze it or just eat it twice this week, because this is going to be good. So when we get back, we're gonna do a taste test on this, see where we're at, see if there's anything I need to add to it, and check the thickness. And if the thickness is fine, at that point we're gonna go ahead and get these biscuits rolled out into like some dough to make our crust, and we're gonna go from there. So we'll see you back in a little bit. So our chicken pot pie mixture is kind of cooked for a while. Let it cool down. I did add a little bit of salt and pepper to it, nothing too serious. Now what we're going to do is get our little crust made. Now I got 3 little individual things here. I also, just to get a little ahead of the schedule, I did go ahead and make the big one too. So you're going to follow the same deal if you have a casserole pan that's like this, or bigger, or that small. So anyway, what I did was I took these little biscuits, I got the lid to that casserole dish, and I'm just going to flatten it out. I'm going to put it in the bottom of these pans, so it could be a pan like this or this, and then I'm just going to stretch them out. And I'm just going to go around the sides, and I'm going to stretch them out. So this is my last one. I could use a little more here, but I don't want to break out another container, so this is what we're going to work with. Take it, get your little insides in there. And I could use a little bit more on this one, but like I said, I don't want to open up another one of these just for this particular one. So we're going to look at these as to what they should look like. We've got the oven preheated, 375. I'm going to get that in for about 25-30 minutes. If you're using this dough and you're reading the instructions on the label, you're going to want to go about double that time because of the liquid in the sauce. But anyway, you already seen what this one looks like. We're going to take a look at what these little ones look like when they come out, and then it's going to be time for the taste test. So see you back in a little bit. Thanks a lot. These bad boys just came out of the oven about 20 minutes ago. I just have them cooling down before you get ready to eat. So I got these 3 that I made. I gave one to my sister. I got this larger one here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but got that. We're about to get our eat on with this. So anyway, that's how we roll right here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment, subscribe, holler at your boy. See ya.